Sub Reitannite, it's Reitanna Seishin here. It's been a long time since I've done a long-ass rant. So I think it's about time I do one on racism, because I've been meaning to do that. I wanted to talk about, websites asking for your phone number for password safety or something, but we'll leave that for another day. So, racism. I think it's appropriate to bring this up, especially with all the controversy over taking a knee during the national anthem. Which, first of all, the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, any of that stuff, who the fuck cares? I mean, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, hey, guess what? The reason why we say those things is because, what is this country? The land of the free and the home of the brave? Well, it doesn't really seem like it, does it? Well, if we're the land of the free, then we should be free to stand up, sit down, take a knee, sit cross-legged, do handstands during the freaking Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. Who the fuck cares? I mean, me personally, when I was in school, I would sit for the Pledge of Allegiance because of the sheer fact that I believe that it's wrong to have under God in the Pledge of Allegiance, because not everybody believes in God. I mean, it's just stupid. So, but, our lovely, good, historically amazing president, our president who has just done so much for this country in record time, the best president in the history of any country ever, has a problem with this. Go figure. Well, our president isn't known to be the most, racially, accepting, I guess. So, the reason why, members of the NFL are taking a knee during the national anthem is because of, I don't exactly remember what happened. I know I heard what happened, but God fuck my memory. It has to do with standing up for, it has to do with racial intolerance or something. I don't exactly remember what happened, so if somebody's got, the story and stuff, feel free to comment below. But it's like, hey, you guys realize that we're animals, right? That human beings are mammals, we're primates. I know, it's amazing, it's mind-blowing, I just blew your fucking mind. I'm a murderer. Your head exploded. So, when you go to the zoo, you see, different animals of different colors, you see the ducks walking around, you see that, the males are a different color than the females, and, the females may look similar, but they all have, they can have differentiating patterns and stuff, and you see some monkeys with different patterns and stuff. And, you see, all these animals that have, different colors, and then when you go to a pet store, oh my god, you could see, 2 different bulldogs with, 2 different colors, oh my god, and don't even get me started on the cats. Oh my god. How dare those cats be different colors? You can have a black cat, a white cat, a gray cat. You can have cats with multiple colors. Calico. Dogs. Rats. Snakes. Grasshoppers. Any animal. Any living organism in even flowers. And fungi. And probably bacteria. They all come in different colors, in different varieties, but just because a black cat is black and a white cat is white doesn't mean they're not cats. They're cats. And, most species don't discriminate against, each other for different colors. Actually, a lot of the time, the only reason why they become choosy over colors is a mating, thing. Like a peacock, a peahen will want a peacock with the brightest and biggest colorful feathers on its tail. So, that goes for a lot of birds. So, guess what? I know it sounds really, social justice warrior of me to say I don't see race, but the thing is we should not see race because we are the human race, and we should just see each other with different colored hide and different colored fur, because that's what we are. We are just different. We're different differentiations was what I was going to say. We're just different color of the same species. We are one species. And that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. The only thing that changes anything is society, is the way other people behave. Now, the reason why we have stereotypes, with weird things like black people liking watermelon and fried chicken. I don't know where that comes from. I like watermelon. My boyfriend likes fried chicken. I used to like fried chicken before I was a vegetarian. Or Mexicans being lazy, or, Asians being bad drivers. All these stereotypes are because of racism, are because we were unable to, accept that we come in more than one color. Oh my god. And guess what? It's genetic. So, if you got one colored human and another colored human and breed them, they're gonna come out with, either one or the other color, or a slightly lighter version of one color or a slightly darker version of the other color. It's just breeding. How many of you are dog breeders, cat breeders, rabbit breeders? Do you play with colors? Selective breeding is dangerous, and I don't really approve of it, but the fact of the matter is that that's exactly how things work now. When the white man saw a black man for the first time, they're all like, that ain't normal. Why? Why isn't it normal? I'm getting the feeling that from the dawn of time, when humans arose and became, all animals are sentient, but, we formed this opinion of ourselves that makes us greater than any other species on the entire planet. No! The entire universe, because if we found life on other planets, we'd nuke them. If they came to our planet, they'd be all like, hey, we've seen you hanging around, we thought we want to be friends, hey, we'd nuke them. It's shoot first, ask questions later. Why? Because different! In all the movies we're all like, oh, aliens are bad, they come here, they want to destroy us. Why would they want to destroy us? Seriously. Is it because we would destroy them? That's exactly what it is. If we landed on a different planet with different life forms, we would destroy them. Because that's what we are. And from, the moment we set foot on this planet, the moment we stood up straight, whenever it started, I'm not exactly sure when it started, we became horrible beings. We became destroyers. We became this hate-filled monkey that could care less about anything else's feelings. And so, we see somebody with different colored hide, and we're all like, oh my god, well, that's different, that's wrong. I look like this. Why don't they look like me? I'm sad that they don't, it's not normal. You know, it doesn't make any sense. I've never understood it. And, it's like, the way it should have happened was, you know, white man sees a black man for the first time, and they go, oh, well, that's interesting. We come in different colors just like our pets do. Just like our horses. Our horses that help us, with the farms and the shit, and our cows and our farm animals, because farms. Well, that is very interesting. Hello, my friend. Come on. I mean, how many of you got horses? How many of you got a stable full of horses? What, you got a brown one? You got probably a black one, a white one, maybe a gray one with some white speckles. Horses. Come on. So it's like, why don't you just treat each other like how is it not normal to see a horse of a different color than another horse? So, and it doesn't make sense. And so we decided that they were inferior. No, they weren't just inferior. They were monsters. We had to hurry up and capture these things, you know, before they rose up against us, because surely they're thinking the same thing. Well, I'm certain that they were all like, oh, well, that's odd. But, you know, they probably thought the same thing, you know, in the matter of, well, that's different. They look so different. I can't say what they thought. I can't say if they thought we were monsters, but they definitely thought we were monsters after we decided they were monsters and enslaved them. You know, that's not right. And I think it was, one of our own presidents back then. I don't remember who said it. And I don't remember the exact quote, but they said that no black man is, or all white men are superior to black men or something like that. It was a really, really disgustingly racist comment. And I was like, wow. And the problem is it's been so long, and it hasn't changed. Yeah, they're not slaves anymore. Good for us for freeing the slaves. Well, we shouldn't have even enslaved them anyway. Why? You know, and of course, it's not just black people. We have our prejudice against Mexicans, we have our prejudice against Asians, we have prejudice against, you know, Native Americans. I mean, holy crap, the prejudice against Native Americans. Ugh. It just, and the thing that bothers me about Native Americans is that we still haven't given them their land. We still haven't, I don't exactly know how this works, so if somebody's Native American and lives, on a reservation, please tell me, are you forced to live on a reservation? Are you allowed to live anywhere else? I don't know how that works. That from the sound of it, that's what it sounds like. I'm like, why do Native Americans live on reservations? Can't they live anywhere? And it's I don't know, it's confusing to me. It's like, don't you think that, you know, we should have just, you know, said, you know, it's my whole philosophy on saying sorry. It's like, yeah, sorry, we took your land, we killed all your men, we raped your women and children, yeah, sorry. Well, what's an apology if you don't give them, you know, what you took? I mean, obviously you can't give them back all the people that you slaughtered, all the families that you slaughtered and traumatized, but it's like, you know, we invaded your land, and if we are sorry for it, maybe we should prove that we're sorry? I'm kind of thinking that we're not sorry. And what sucks is that I have to say we because I'm Caucasian. Now that's another thing. Why are white people called Caucasian? Because we're not Asian? Does anybody have an answer to that? I don't know what we should be called, but I always wondered that. So it's really messed up, and especially with Trump's travel ban, he's trying to make it seem like it's not a Muslim ban. It's a Muslim ban. Alright, he thinks, just like many Americans think, that all Muslims are terrorists. All Muslims they're bad and they're scary. And if they come from the country where the terrorists come from, then they also must be terrorists. Oh my god, look at us. We're American. We're scared. Don't touch us. Oh my god, we're gonna build a wall and make another country pay for it when they can't afford it. Oh my god. And that wall hasn't even, been started. So it's just some, overgrown baby's fantasy that's never gonna happen. And people voted for this prick. People cheered to keep other people out. Do you know what America is? America is a melting pot. Do you think that, when you say, we're American, that, we're one thing, we're different than Europeans, or, well, most Caucasians, I believe, yeah, 'cause Ireland's in Europe, I think. But, we're a melting pot. Our ancestors were, Spanish, Italian, German, Irish, from Britain, French. I am, let's see, I have a little bit of Swedish, and I have German and Irish, I believe. At least I know that from my dad's side. I have no idea what I have on Erin's side. She claimed that we were Apache Indian. That's another thing, is that we'd call them Indians because we, thought that we had discovered India. Did you know Christopher Columbus didn't actually discover America? Anyway, so apparently, according to the person who, did drugs, got drunk, and got high all the time, I'm Apache. I'm white as snow. If I do have Apache in me, it's so minuscule that if I were to claim any benefits, any Native American benefits, I would be, laughed at, and, I think it's ridiculous. So it's I have no way to prove that. I have no way to prove it, and I don't want to bother doing it because I really don't care. I'm composed of Europeans. So, it's I don't know, it's that's, it's just weird. I don't know, it's just weird. And I know immigration isn't just an American problem. I was in correspondence with somebody from Sweden, and, they were talking about how the immigration problem, I don't remember who they said, were coming in. It was a long time ago. I was only corresponding with them on DA. So, immigration from other countries isn't just an American problem. And we also view immigration in a way that's not how it works. So, we're really corrupt, especially when it comes to overly opinionated, figures in, important positions. And, it's just like the war on drugs. It's the, hey, we're in power, we're going to influence these ideas on you, and we know we're lying. Of course we know we're lying about it. So, in fact, what was it? It was an Adam Ruins Everything. He talked about, something being associated with Mexicans, and how the way they got people to do something was they tried to associate something with Mexicans, and we were like, oh, boo, white power, boo, So, I don't remember what it was. I think it was the one about cars. So, it's like, let's associate this thing with things that people don't like. What don't people like? Oh, other people who don't look like them. And there are things that I have a problem with. There are a lot of things that I have a problem with that, quote unquote, other races do. Now, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not, being, you know what I mean. So, like, it almost seems like anything I say is racist just because I'm white. Like, other colored humans cannot be racist because they're, they don't have this light peachy skin. So, it's like, okay, so I was with, Senpai a few months ago, and, we were doing immersion therapy, with me by going to an amusement park. Belmont Park, I believe. And we were sitting down, we were eating, and, this black guy is coming in, and he's talking real loud, and he's, real obnoxious. That's cool, it's dandy, I'm obnoxious too, who cares? But he's saying the N-word a lot. He's not being threatening. He's not doing anything wrong. He just keeps saying the N-word. And I'm like, okay, that's not right in any sense. I don't care what color you are. You don't say racial slurs. That's one of the biggest problems. That's why we still have it, And it's like that kind of thing is just a show of character. It's like, are you embracing the fact that, we have insulted you for hundreds of years and done all these terrible things? It's like, the N-word is a bad word. I talk out my mouth like it's a toilet, but I don't feel comfortable with myself or anyone else saying racial slurs. And unfortunately, Mindless Self-Indulgence, one of my favorite bands, ends up saying the N-word in quite a few songs, and I hate that he does that. More power to you, Jimmy? ? So when I'm singing to one of their songs, I have to censor myself, and I hate doing that. So, like, sometimes I will try and replace the word with, like, wigger, because that's less of a racial term for me. Maybe it's because I'm white. I don't know. I don't know what the psychology is behind this. See, we've grown up to believe certain things, and even, if you're not racist, you can still be so hypocritical without even meaning to. It's the same with my rant on sexism, and my daily behavior and stuff. Still, it doesn't matter how much you believe it's wrong, because we've been conditioned in a way we don't even realize when we're being the thing that we are, speaking against. So it's like, if I say something on accident, I don't realize how it can be taken, because the way I thought it wasn't the way it was heard. Which actually, is a problem with a lot of topics, not just, controversial things like racism and sexism. Just the way I speak can be taken way wrong, and it's caused a lot of problems, but, that just goes with me being unable to speak properly. And so it's like, what bothers me isn't people with different colored hide. What bothers me is when people of any color, any sex, any age, any whatever, act like they're stereotypes. When, when a guy, let's take a black guy again, when a guy says, oh, I have to do this, cause that's what black people do. It's like, aren't you being just as bad as anyone else of any other skin color says, cause that's just what black people do? Things can be behaviors can be passed on. Say, let's try and take a white stereotype. Well, I don't know many white stereotypes, even though I'm white. Isn't that funny? We're just kind of not aware of our stereotypes, or is it just because I'm a shut-in? But let's say, you know, white people have a certain stereotype. Well, that's because, you know, that stereotype was, created from a certain behavior that is passed on by people who are around the person with that behavior. If, say, you're a mother and you have children, they are going to pick up some of your behaviors. And then when they have children, they're going to pick up the behaviors, and they become inherited in a social manner. And so it seems like, you know, when you see multiple people exude the same behavior, it seems like, oh, everybody with that colored hide has, you know, behaves this way. No. And you know, it's like, oh, all black people are poor. No. Oh, well, if you're white, there's no way you can be poor. I'm going to say this right now from experience. That's wrong. That is the most wrong of wrong. That is wrong. You're wrong. Who can point out that reference? I grew up dirt poor. And I grew up like trash because my parent was trash. Absolute trash. We didn't have, like, we had barely any food. I was tiny. I was skin and bones. We got, like, a cardboard box full of food with food stamps, like, every month. It was literally, like, where's my ruler? If I remember correctly, which my long-term memory works fine. Okay, so let's see. If it's about this big, then that would be 12 inches. 13. About 15 inches long and roughly 12 inches thick. And depth, I would have to say it's less than 12 inches. I'd have to say about 8 inches. Cardboard box. Mostly canned stuff, box stuff that, you know, have a pretty decent shelf life so that we can ration it. I have been homeless on a number of times, including in Kokolala, Idaho, where it's cold as ass, and our lovely stepdad, who totally wasn't abusive at all, kicked us out in the snow. That was fun. I lived on a campground, lived in a tent for like, I don't know, a year or two, a year and a half. Literally. I am not joking. And when I think about it, I'm like, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't realize how bad these things were, but, you know, now that I've seen the world and how it works, now that I'm an adult in a shitty apartment, but trying to get an actual house, I'm sitting here going, oh my god, what the hell? Like, what the actual fuck? You know, and the thing is, okay, so why do we have a stereotype, for example, that black people are poor and all black people live in the ghetto? Is it maybe because we're racist? You know, here comes the problem, is that we discriminate against people with different colored skin. You know, of course, it's not just black people who live in the ghetto, you know, we associate it with Mexicans too. You know, we discriminate against people with different colored hide. And so, when we hire people, we're most likely to hire the white guy. Oh, and we can say that we're giving fair wages, but we'll make excuses to pay the other the other colored hides different, lower wages. We'll make it that excuse. Oh, well, actually, you're fired. Oh, what did I do? What was that? I'm sorry, I still can't understand it. You're fired! Get out! And, so, guess what? Discrimination against people with different colored skin causes them to make not as much money as the white man. And guess what? You need money to live. So if you don't have very much money, where are you going to go? Where are you going to find, a living space that you can afford? In the really, really shitty areas of whatever city or town or whatever you live in. The shitty areas where all the poor people are doing whatever they can to make money, selling drugs, engaging in prostitution, gambling, all these other shit, mugging people, stealing from each other, breaking in, all that bad stuff, because guess what? They're desperate to make money because they can't make money out here in the white man's world because we won't give them the money! It's not that hard. If two people are in the same position, okay, let's say you have a cashier who's white and a cashier who's black. Both of them have been working for 2 years, the exact same time, and they're both awesome workers. If anything, one is not better than the other. They both do the same amount of work. They always show up on time. They're good employees. How hard is it to pay Mr. Black Man the same amount as Mr. White Man? That's not that difficult! That is not that difficult! And I'm not gonna say all companies are like that, but a frightening amount of companies and CEOs and bigwigs and the big cheeses out there, they're like that. And right now I'm speaking strictly about America because I don't know exactly how it works in other countries. I just know that apparently, blackface isn't an offending thing in Japan. Guess what? Because, they didn't engage in the slavery of the black man, because if I'm correct, I don't think, back then black people, immigrated to Asia. I'm not exactly sure about that. I know that there's a lot of Asian immigration, especially with North Koreans who try to escape to South Korea or China. Ooh, look up some of those stories. Those are some sad stories. Whenever you think about, one country's government being shit, and it sucks. It really sucks. You got to think about another country's government, and you're just sitting there like, okay, so even with us, even without how bad it is with us, it could still be worse. But still, because we are accustomed to the way we live, the way another government works doesn't really apply to us, because we're accustomed to living in a free country. I'm using free very lightly. So, it's like, I don't know. It's like, North Korea sucks ass balls, but we're not there. So we can't say, well, we should just, be considerate, be thankful for what we have in this country because other people don't have it so good, but it's like, yes, but that's their problem. We're not supposed to interfere with other countries' problems unless they come and interfere with us. We're supposed to just, not keep everybody out, but mind our own fucking business. So it's like, it's akin to, say, a family raises their children and they depend on technology and all of that, and all of a sudden the power goes out for an extended period of time, major power outage for weeks, maybe months. Well, guess what? We can live without electricity. We can. Unless you're in Southern California when it's hot as balls and you will die from the heat. But most places, You can live without electricity if, find ways to cope with whatever weather you have to deal with. But it sucks. And, plenty of other countries, in certain places don't have as much, I don't know, whatever. I think I saw a video, on North Korea only allowing electricity at certain times of the year. But all the same, this family is used to technology, so therefore, suddenly not having it makes their lives not as happy, not as easy, and, that's not just... It's not us about being spoiled by the things we've developed. Oh my god, did I say developed? If I said developed, I meant developed. And I don't know where my speech is going. It's progression. It's like trying to go back in time, take a caveman, and stick him in a room full of computers, TVs, and iPods, and phones, and shit. What is he gonna do? He's gonna smash them all. You turn them on, he's gonna get freaked out, and he's gonna smash them all. It just depends on the place you live in, and the time you live in, and how the society that is around you has developed. And so, for us, this is shit. And we thought 2016 was bad. I thought 2017 was going to be better. I really did. But this is, on the surface, it's comical. But when you go deep down into it, you go, I'm scared. And the replacing Obamacare thing has failed for the third time, and already they're trying to do it again. And I'm sitting here going, I'm afraid of losing my health care, but thank God there are smart Republicans that go, hey, wait a minute, this isn't a good idea. For one, I don't even know why why do they want to repeal and replace Obamacare in the first place? Because it has the name Obama in it? Well, you know what it's also called? The Affordable Health Care Act. What does that mean? It means that healthcare is affordable. And guess what? It made it so that, I don't know how to word this, but healthcare was good for, the first time in ever, so, in America. You know what I mean, I just don't know how to say it. And it's like, anything associated with Obama or any other Democrat is like acid to a Republican. And I could go into my view of, democracy, but that's not what I'm gonna try and not go on that kind of tangent. What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say, hang on. Yes, I was gonna bring up the reasons why racism is still a problem, and it's not just because we're a bunch of filthy human beings who hate each other no matter what. Well, the thing we should have done after, the whole deal with slavery is we should have healed and got over it. Forget about it. Leave the past in the past. But no! We keep revisiting it. We keep thinking about it. We have Black History Month. We have, I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it's like a month or a society or something to, celebrate Black women's beauty or something. And I'm sitting there going, but there are beautiful Black women, and there are ugly Black women. There are beautiful white women. There are ugly white women. There are beautiful Mexicans. There are ugly Mexicans. Women's. All the women's. And there's beautiful women in any color, in any area of society, and then there's ugly women. Then there's average women. So, what, are we going to have a White History Month, which would be dark as hell? No puns intended? Are we going to have a recognition society for white women's beauty? Why are we specifying these things? Shouldn't we just have, I'm against the whole sexism and the, yay, women are better and feminism thing, so I don't believe that we should have anything to recognize women's beauty at all. We should just leave it be and stop bringing attention to the fact that these are problems and instead forget about them. Every month, not every month, every year, I believe it's February, isn't it? I think, we reflect on, Black history, just alone. It's a reminder it's not just a reminder of all the Black people who have done amazing things for this country, because they have, and there were white people who did amazing things for this country, and there were, was Einstein? Did Einstein live in America? Was he Austrian? I don't know anything about Einstein. Isn't that funny? There are plenty of people who immigrated to America, or were brought here against their will, unfortunately, who have done great things in history. But you know what else it is? It's to remind us that their history was dark, and was, upsetting, and I'm gonna also bring up the fact that not all slave owners treated their slaves like slaves. They treated them like family. There were quite a lot of people who believed, that slavery was wrong. And if I remember correctly, I think there were some families that, paid their slaves either money or just, treated them with hospitality. And, those are the good people. But the point is that happened in the past. That happened with people who are dead now. They're dead. The slave owners, they're dead. The slaves, they're dead. And, we may be, descendants of those dead people. But the thing is we're not those dead people. So it's not our problem. And we should just get over it. Okay? The fact of the matter is, in the past, white people treated other colored people badly. Men treated women badly. People in general treated people with mental illness worse than they still do. Those were bad things that happened. Past tense. But those people are dead now. We don't have to be scared of those people anymore. Just forget it. Stop bringing it up. Just let it go. And it's like, and it's not just with slavery either. Again, like I said, it was with, with, women's suffrage and other things like that. I know how that sounded. I don't think that women's suffrage means the same thing as women suffering. I know that's a huge misconception because of the word suffrage. But, you know what I'm talking about. Everything like that. Just get over it. It doesn't matter to us anymore. It should never have mattered, but the fact that it did is still not our problem. This whole thing of, people wanting to, save the Confederate flag to, preserve history or whatever. No. Why do we want to preserve history in anything? The past sucks, okay? The future's gonna suck. The present sucks, but we should be focusing on what sucks now. And what really sucks is the problems that we should be addressing and that we should be fixing, like racism. Seriously, wanting to save the Confederate flag isn't a preservation of history. It's people's excuse to still support the fact that they're racist. So, and keeping statues of you know, people who held plenty of slaves, statues of horrible people. It's like, oh, well, we want to preserve history. No! Why do you care? No one cares! Get over it! Take it down! Stop making us remember it! In fact, if we forget it, future generations would forget it, and hopefully, I know we're hate-filled, but hopefully they would get over racism, you know? And sexism, and homophobia, and stuff. Just stop dealing with the problems, you know? And I've gone to plenty of pride parades before, you know, plenty meaning 2? Wow. You know, I went because they're fun, but in general, you know, that's just another way to remind everybody that people hate anything that's not the same as them, or what's considered quote-unquote normal. So, you know, we shouldn't have a parade for any specific people. We shouldn't have months or days for any specific peoples, you know? We shouldn't have anything toward people unless it's, you know, serious. Like, yeah, we have, like, cancer awareness and all that stuff. That's important. That affects everybody. I could get cancer. Guess what? I'm white. I'm not immune to cancer. Oh my gosh. Well, I had some black friends in high school. They could totally get cancer. For all I know, one of them might actually have cancer. I don't know, because I don't stay in contact with any of my high school friends. Except for Lauren. You know? Oh, and, you know, that one half Mexican girl that I was friends with, she could have cancer. Oh my god, cancer affects everybody! It doesn't choose your sexuality, it doesn't choose the color of your skin, it doesn't choose whether you're male or female. Oh my god! Cancer hits everybody! These are the things, you know. Hey, guess what? If you do an autopsy on a black person and an autopsy on a white person, guess what you're gonna find? You're gonna find that the blood is red, they both have hearts, they both have stomachs, they both have lungs, they look exactly the same on the inside, unless some genetic mutation happened, you know, because that happens to everybody! To everybody! Why? Why do we have to treat each other so differently? And it always comes down to my philosophy that human beings are evil. And that's all it is. Human beings are evil. It's our natural instinct to be just as horrible as we can to each other. And, it's to the point where if people, you know, like, harass another to suicide, that oftentimes that person is proud that they got that person to kill themselves. Proud of it. That makes that person a murderer. And this is the society we live in. This is the society where we can say, hey, you know, Iran, posted a video or something of a, nuclear launch that happened, what, was it 7 months or 7 years ago? I think it was 7 years ago. And so that means that we should totally be getting ready to bomb Iran. Oh my god. You know? And, you know, North Korea are testing their weapons, so we should be giving them empty threats to make them, you know, be even more angry at us so that they're more willing to shoot weapons at us, you know? It's just like, neener, 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 this is what I say and you suck me. It's like we're taking our asses and pressing them up against windows on the borders of other countries. And a lot of us are like, well, let's just go to Canada. But just like every other country, I'm sure Canada has its problems. But you know, I've also heard that every other country is looking at America and shaking their heads. So, you know, every country has its problems, but how similar are they to ours? We don't know, because we're America, and sometimes we keep to our own business, but sometimes we don't. And it almost seems like we're being hypocritical. Oh my god, we're doing two different things while claiming to support one thing. It's just, you know, and let's face it, it's a stereotype for America, but unfortunately it's a stereotype that's much truer than all black people rob convenience stores, or all black people own a gun, or, you know, all Mexicans work as construction workers because they can't find any other job. You know, it's just like, none of that's true. But America being stupid, ignorant, arrogant assholes is pretty damn fucking true, and we didn't really have proof of that until we voted in Trump. Now we have proof. Now we have literal proof that we are all insignificant idiots who think we're better than everything. Not just everybody, everything else. And I don't understand it. It's you know, we're living things. We're living things, so how about we just live and stop wasting our energy trying to upset each other? You know, we're not even part of the food chain. We're not part of the circle of life. We've come to the point where we are not connected to the food chain. We are not connected to the circle of life anymore. Everything else is trying to happen as naturally as possible, but we're fucking it up. We're not part of it, and we're fucking it up. It's like, it's bad enough that we're not part of it anymore. So, you know, there's literally nothing we can do to help this because of mob psychology. If one person thinks something, then another person's going to think it, and another person's going to think it, and another person's going to think it. And unfortunately, the minority doesn't think that way, so everybody, part of the majority, are all like, oh, well, you're stupid. It's like, I used to be made fun of because I thought hamsters were cute. I liked hamsters. I like animals. I like rodents. Big deal. They're like, you like hamsters, oh my god, you're so retarded. Well, you know what? The popular guy in my class liked airplanes. No one went, you like airplanes, you're so retarded. You know? I don't understand the difference. It's because it's not the thing they're making fun of. It's you. Because we have to. Because we have to. And a lot of us have tried to train ourselves or domesticate ourselves like domesticated animals. We have bred domestication into most of our bloodlines to where we have to force ourselves to not think that way. We learn and we develop our own opinions. We learn right from wrong. And, but still, there's always that instinct. Just like a rat. So, wild rats and domestic rats are very different in behavior, intelligence, and, health. But all rats will feel the need to hide, no matter what. It could be because they're having fun, or it's because they heard a noise and they got scared and they need to hide. That's instinct. The fight or flight response kicks in, and because they are naturally prey, they don't get up and try to become the threat. They hide to make sure whatever threat is coming isn't going to hurt them. But the thing is the domestic rats are safe, and they're with a loving family, hopefully. Mine are with a loving family. They're taken care of. They've never been in danger before. They haven't, been hurt by, anything other than each other. So they have no reason to think that they'd be under attack just because of one single loud sound. But instinct says loud, scary sound equals predator equals you should hide right now. They also, oftentimes, if you have pet rats, or pet rodents in general, you will see them sometimes sleeping with their eyes open. And that's because, in the wild, they will sleep with their eyes open so that if anything moves in front of their face, the movement will trigger them to wake up and they will be able to go hide. It's a defense mechanism. But they still have these instincts. Dogs, same thing, except that they're predators. They're naturally predators. So when they hear a loud sound or something that they think is a threat, they're going to start barking and they're going to, get revved up and they're going to get ready to defend their territory, which is their loving, caring home, hopefully. So it's instinct. Domestic animals, just like us, still carry that instinct, and unfortunately we've been allowing that instinct to live in us for way too long. And that's why these are still problems. That's why oftentimes when people see a black person, they want to stay away from them. Why? Because the stereotype is that black people are violent and vicious. Same with a lot of, Mexicans. Oh, we want to stay away from anybody who's Mexican because they are, drug lords and, are in gangs and shit. And then the idea of, oh, we want to stay away from those Asians because they eat cats and dogs. It's just like, some of these comes from the stereotypes and the prejudices that we have made up. Some of them come from history, and like I already said, those things should be left alone and forgotten. And we shouldn't be discriminating against anybody. And it's not just white people who are racist. It's black people. There are plenty of black people, Mexicans, Asians, who are racist against white people, I have to admit, for good reason. But there are also Mexicans racist against black people. There are black people racist against Asians. There are multiple colored people who are racist against anybody from the Middle East. It goes all ways. And the funny thing is like, say you have like a group of white people making fun of France for being smelly, because apparently that's a stereotype, making fun of Ireland for drinking a lot and potatoes. I love potatoes though. Oh, that's not racist because they're white people. White people can't be racist against each other. So, it's like, and my biggest thing is hate crimes. So, and the reason why I'm using white people and black people as the main example is because in American history, that is the biggest quote-unquote battle. So, I'm not excluding any other races, and when I say Mexican and Asian, I'm not thinking that those are the only, quote-unquote racists out there. When I say race, it's for lack of a better term, but you know what I mean. Color. Breed. Species. That's another thing, is the color of our skin doesn't mean a different race, just like with cats, dogs, snakes, hamsters, rats, worms. Different colored patterns, different hide, is a breed, not a species, not a race. So, black people are a human breed. White people are a human breed. All of these, people with different skin colors, they're just a breed. We are animals. We shouldn't think we're better than any other species out there. Count us as animals. That's what we are. So, hate crimes. Let's take Mr. Black Person and Mr. White Person. So, Mr. Black Person tells Mr. White Person, I slept with your wife, I fucked her so hard and she loved it. She hates you. She won't divorce you. And oh my god, I also slept with your sister. And I slept with all the women in your family. I fucked them good and hard. Blah, 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 blah. Well, my white man goes, I really don't care for what you're saying. And he punches him. He starts, beating him up because guess what? Mr. Black Guy hurt Mr. White Guy in more than just the feelings. But guess what? Mr. White Guy, since Mr. White Guy attacked Mr. Black Guy, for sleeping with all the women in his family, he committed a hate crime. But he goes, why is it counted as a hate crime? Because the other guy's black. But I didn't attack him because he's black. I attacked him because he slept with my goddamn wife and my sister and all the other women in my family. Does that include my grandma? Because that's gross. And Mr. Black Guy goes, no, you totally did because I'm black. Not all people, not all black guys will do that, but a lot of times, black guys want to play the race card because they know they can, just like how women will play the rape card. Gotta love that. So, now, let's take one Mr. White Guy and the other Mr. White Guy. So, Mr. White Guy number 1 says, I slept with your wife and your sister and all the girls in your family. The other Mr. White Guy goes, I don't really care for what you did. Beats him up. Blah, 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 blah. Police come in. You knock it off, you two. And if it's bad enough, they take him in for a little while, settle the differences and, maybe get a fine or whatever. I don't know, because they're white guys. So, whoop-de-doo. Now let's take Mr. Black Guy number 1, Mr. Black Guy number 2 goes, I slept with your wife and your sister and all the girls in your family, and Mr. Other, Black Guy 2 is like, I don't really care for what you just said to me, I'm gonna beat you up, blah, 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 blah. Chances are, if the police come across them, one or both of them are gonna get shot. But it's still not a hate crime. It's and let's take Mr. White Guy and Mr. Black Guy over here. Mr. White Guy says, I slept with your wife and your sister and everybody, all the girls in your family. Mr. Black Guy says, I don't like what you were saying. I'm gonna beat you up. It's not a hate crime. So, what's the difference between the first example and the second example? The first example, a white guy hit a black guy. Boom! Hate crime. And the last example, a black guy hit a white guy. Not a hate crime. If anything, he's probably gonna get shot, or he's gonna get a longer sentence than it's like two people of the same race. It's like, even the white guy who committed the supposed hate crime, how is his punishment going to differ from the black guy who attacked the white guy because, all black guys are dangerous, apparently. Where's the line? What is it just a hate crime when a white person attacks somebody with a different colored skin? Is that it? Because that doesn't make any sense. Especially if the person's reason wasn't because, I beat him up just because he's black. What if a black guy attacks a white guy and says, I just beat him up because he's white? Is that a hate crime? So we can't use the excuse. The hate crime should only be a hate crime if their reason was because of the reason for hating. I beat that person up just because she's a woman. I beat that person up because he's gay. Those are hate crimes. But if you hit the person because they insulted you, did you wrong, or, hurt you in some way, robbed your house or whatever, and they just happen to be of a different color, they just happen to be of a different gender, they just happen to be of a different sexuality, that's not a hate crime. That's not a hate crime. Equality. What the fuck is it? We don't have equality, and we don't have freedom. It's just, no. And the problem is we just keep fueling it. We just keep fueling it. And I hate it. I cannot stand it. I can't stand, no one should be special for their differences. Because we're not. We're not extraordinary. We're not special. None of us are. if anything, we're the lowest of the low. So, and it goes with, like, smaller things, like blondes are stupid, redheads are always angry, brunettes are, and people with black hair are emo or something. Well, most of the dumb blondes I've ever known were brunettes or, girls with black hair. It's usually brunettes who bleach their hair blonde. I'm not saying that brunettes are really the stupid ones. I'm saying that doesn't apply, because there could be stupid people of any hair color, and there can be smart people with any hair color. There could be plenty of blondes out there who are absolute geniuses. I'm blonde and I'm above average intelligence, so there you go. But it's just genetics. We don't choose these things. If I had a choice in genetics, let's see, over half of my family is Japanese, but it's by marriage. If I had a choice, I would, say, how about instead of you marrying a Japanese guy and, inheriting his children and them all having children and stuff, but you still had, white children with another guy, or you adopted or whatever. I actually don't know my dad's situation on that. Actually have children with this Japanese guy so that my dad was half Japanese, which would make me a quarter Japanese. That was so confusing. Because, let's face it, all of the members of my Japanese part of my family are fucking gorgeous. And yeah, there are plenty of ugly Japanese people, but let's face it, Asians are really pretty. And because I spent a lot of time in my childhood growing up with a second culture, that's the reason why I love a lot of the Japanese culture, Japanese things. I've been called a weeaboo so many times, and I'm like, well, I don't even, exude any of the symptoms of weeaboo syndrome, meaning I'm so picky about my anime that if I don't like the cover of it, I won't watch it. But I'm the same way with movies, books, TV, whatever. And it's like, it's stupid. This world is stupid. This planet is stupid. And I feel so sorry for all of the other species who are part of the food chain and part of the circle of life, who have to deal with us ruining everything for them. That's why some people call it animal sense, when a human being is more in tune with other species than a lot of other people are. I have it, Michael has it, Lauren has it, senpai, for those of you who don't know. Having animal sense is akin to looking at another person's, well, I don't know why I said akin. Having animal sense means that you look at another member of a different species, and you don't see an object. And it's not just that you see an animal. You see another living being that has just as much personality as you do. We may not be able to speak the same languages. It just so happens that rats can't speak human languages. Rats speak rat language. And cats speak cat language. Dogs speak dog languages. We can't pass on these language skills between species because we don't have that, mechanic built into us. But it doesn't change the fact that, yeah, a rat has heart, a rat has lungs, rat has stomach, rat has red blood. Unfortunately, I had to discover that, the hard way. I mean, of course, there were plenty of times when, you know, Ezio had his abscess, so I had to excise it, and so I got some blood out of him, you know. And this isn't the I just discovered rats have red blood because this, you know, personal experience. It's the, you know, this is how I'm sure. And then Tommy would get beat up by Sammy all the time. But oh my god, when Jerry was younger, when we first brought him home, we tried to integrate Jerry and Orby with Tommy, and Tommy was not having it. But Jerry, smart little rat, decides to stick his fingers into Tommy's cage. I believe we had Jerry and Orby on the bottom and Tommy at the top. So they're nosing off, and the babies are all like, oh, well, we wanna play with this rat, and Tommy's like, I'm gonna kill you. So Jerry is curious, he sticks his little hand, and Tommy bites it, and he screams, and I'm freaking out because I've never heard a rat scream like that before, and I take a look at him, and his finger is gushing blood, and I'm like, ah! So I take a towel, and I cradle him. I tell Michael that Jerry's hurt, and he gets a bunch of Cheerios, and I'm holding Jerry's hand and putting pressure on the finger with the towel, and he's trying to pull out of it, but Mike is giving him Cheerios, and so Jerry's eating a big old Cheerio like a freaking donut in one hand. It's so cute. And I'm still sitting here like, oh my god, his finger wasn't bitten off. But I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have to get it amputated, it's gonna be terrible, we're gonna have a rat with a missing finger! If you understood any of that, I will be impressed. But no, his finger, healed fine, it's just crooked. It's curved upward a little bit, but it doesn't cause him any problems. And, now because of that, Jerry will let me pick him up while he's eating. Where all of my other rats have ran away, because they're greedy little bastards. So, but it was a lot of blood. It was so much blood. I'm surprised how well he took it. I was like, oh, Jerry. My little Jerry. What are you guys doing? You guys sleeping? Jerry. So yeah. Rats are a race. Hamsters are a race. Snakes, well, depends on how the derivatives of snakes work. It's like, technically, say if you take a cobra and a viper, that wouldn't be like different races of snakes, that would be different breeds of snakes. So, when you have rodents, rats aren't a breed of hamsters, obviously. So, yeah, with rodents it's more complicated. And with mollusks, too, because a snail isn't an octopus. So, snakes are weird. And we are humans. And we love to hate. We should just keep the hate to ourselves. We shouldn't. If we have opinions, my philosophy is everybody has a right to their opinion. Everyone has a right to have an opinion. But people only have the right to voice their opinion if it doesn't hurt other people. Like, literally hurts them emotionally, psychologically, or physically. So, you know, saying, you know, I hate N-words. Well, if you hate black people for some reason, that's your problem, but you voiced it, and that makes you a terrible person, and you should be ashamed of the opinion that you just spewed out your garbage mouth. Because, guess what? It's harmful. So, you know, it's just... And, of course, there's a difference between a hurtful opinion and facts. And it's just... It's something that people have to understand. There's also a difference between opinions and criticism. And there's also a difference between insulting and criticism. And these are the things that humans decide that we want to mix up, that we want to misunderstand, that we want to use as excuses to harm each other. It's like saying no offense. And I know if you guys have watched my last Hall of Shame, I know a few people mentioned this in the comments. If you say no offense and then you say something offensive, then it's still offensive. You can't say one thing and just suddenly say, no offense, but you're a shithead. That's not going to not be taken offensively. So it's like, don't even say no offense, just say, you shouldn't say you're a shithead anyway unless they cause the problem first. If somebody comes up to me and starts insulting me for no reason, I'm gonna insult them back because I am protecting myself and I am using my right to throw your rock right back in your face! Oh, and what's that song? Hang on, I have to reference another Tool song. Okay, so in the song Jerk Off, not jerk off like, stroke yourself, but like jerk off, like you're told to jerk off. It says, someone told me once that there's a right and wrong. Punishment would come to those who dare to cross the line. But it must not be true, for jerk-offs just like you. Maybe it takes longer to catch a total asshole, but I'm tired of waiting. Someone once told me there's right and wrong. Punishment would come to those who dare to cross the line, but it must not be true for jerk-offs just like you. Maybe it's just bullshit and I should play God and shoot you myself because I'm tired of waiting. Consequences dictate our course of action, and it doesn't matter what's right. It's only wrong if you get caught. If consequences dictate my course of action, I should play God and shoot you myself. I'm very tired of waiting. I should kick you, beat you, fuck you, and then shoot you in your fucking head. Maynard, I love you. And you're a genius. At the very beginning it says, used to be a bunch of assholes that lived in this part of the building here, but we systematically removed them like you would any kind of termite or roach. So, I think he just says that, though. I don't think he... Someone told me that there's right... I don't know, whoa, what's the tune to that? There's right and wrong. I haven't listened to this song enough. Then again, I have this thing where I affectionately like to call it inability to understand lyrics syndrome. And I'm sure this happens with plenty of other people, but when I listen to a song, it is nearly impossible for me to hear real words. It has to be really clear. And even then, and still, even after listening to a song over and over again, there are just words that I cannot hear. Does anybody have an explanation for that? Is that an actual, like, thing that's a specific, what we call syndrome? You know what I'm talking about. I'm interested in how it works with other people. Anyway. So yeah. That was my rant. I don't think there was anything else I had to say on racism. Let me take a moment to think. I have one more thing. And, this is a personal example of how, social conditioning and the, mishaps, if you will, in history can ruin a funny moment. So, I think it was Thanksgiving, and I was with my grandmother, and my Aunt Patty, who at the time was married to a guy named Terrence, and he was black. Who else was there? My brother was there. Was Bella there? Bella's my brother's daughter. If Bella was there, I think Michaela, her mom, was there too. But it was a smaller, Thanksgiving gathering. I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't Thanksgiving. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. But, so Terrence is black. Whoop-de-doo, big deal. So I think my Aunt Patty asked him to do something to pass her something.
and I don't know, he said something that made me say, like, yeah, slave, you know, like, hey, your wife is telling you to do something, you're a slave to her, go ahead, you know, do it, you know, whoosh, whipped, but he's black. So I said something racist, because of, well, because of all the shit that happened hundreds of years ago. And I honestly didn't realize it until after I said it, and I was like, oh my god. And to this day, I'm so embarrassed by it. I'm like, you know that I didn't mean it that way. That's not the way I was thinking it, because when I look at somebody, the first thing that I think isn't their skin color. I really don't see people as being different because their hide is a different color. So, I often acknowledge that, I often don't acknowledge these problems. I don't acknowledge slavery. I don't acknowledge the existence of it. I don't acknowledge anything that would make, you know, one breed better than another breed. It's just the way it is. So, you know, my intentions were fine. Because, let's face it, you know, there's the whole, spiel where your wife controls everything you do. Now, obviously, that's, again, another stereotype, making me, again, hypocritical, but every single person on the planet is a hypocrite in some way, shape, or form. And I will not deny the fact that I am indeed a hypocrite, because if I denied it, then I would be a bigger hypocrite. But the fact of the matter is that I would have said that if Terrence had been white. But it wouldn't have been wrong. It would have been funny. But no. We have ruined that. And because of my inability to get over embarrassing situations, that has embarrassed me every time I think about it for the last, how old was I? Well, if I was willingly with my family, I had to have been a teenager. So I think I was about 18 or 19, something like that. Yep. Embarrassing things that have happened 10 years ago, I still get embarrassed about if I remember them. Ooh, embarrassing situations are one of my biggest fears. So, yep. There's my little time being accidentally racist because I'm white. I'm gonna force my kids to marry each other with shotgun. And if I hold a shotgun, you got my little girl pregnant, and you better marry her, because if you get pregnant, you gotta marry the person you got pregnant. So, if you listened this long, cool. And, make sure to leave a like on this video and click the little bell. And, subscribe, spread the word of awesome, become a Reitannite. Did I say that? I don't remember what happened 2 seconds ago. And I shall see you later, alligators and crocodiles. Goodbye!